What's the one thing the mortgage brokers see all the time, but the home buyers doesn't see it? The biggest mortgage myth.
Biggest mortgage myth, stamp 4, not necessary.
Best age to buy a home in Ireland. Mortgage approval easier or harder than people think.
Easier.
One document people always forget.
Revolut bank accounts.
Family support from India allowed for deposit.
Absolutely no problem.
One document Indians must prepare early. Today, we are joined by John from JC Mortgages, the mortgage expert helping people across Ireland to buy homes with confidence. If mortgages have ever felt intimidating, this conversation cuts through the confusion. So now, let's welcome John from JC Mortgages.
Hello there, Elena. Nice to meet you.
John.
How are you keeping?
Good. How do you feel?
Excited. Looking forward to talking and answering all your questions around helping people buy their homes here in Ireland. A little bit nervous as well, all these lights and cameras, but I'm sure I'll be fine.
Yeah, I'll be glad today. I'll make sure that you're
Please do. Please do.
So are you ready to go to the hot seat?
After you.
Let's go. So how long have you been in the mortgage industry?
Oh, I hate answering that question, but the truth is I've been in it for over 20 years at this stage. So I feel like I am, I hate admitting that because it means I'm old, but it's the truth, over 20 years.
Wow. So what motivates you to excel in the mortgage sector?
Well, it's funny, it's a weird way of looking at this, but I've always wanted to be a teacher, right? My mother was a teacher. I view this very much, this role, as an educational role. I'm here to help people understand where they are and what they might need to do to get the house that they're looking for. So I almost feel like it's an educational role. So you get great satisfaction in terms of just helping people get ready. And then ultimately, because one of the biggest things they'll ever do, obviously maybe moving from India to Ireland is a huge decision. But then the next big decision is kind of, buying a house here. So helping people understand where they're at and then ultimately holding their hand metaphorically till the day they get the keys to a house.
All right. So what's the first thing the most of the first-time buyers get really wrong about mortgages?
They don't understand where they're at. They start looking at houses before they understand what they can actually achieve. So it's more a case of not going back to that education piece. They're not educating themselves properly and then they waste a lot of time.
So if you could press a reset button on the mortgage market, what would you change now?
Well, this is kind of a very general piece. Yeah. There's a great scheme called the Help to Buy scheme, where with new houses it gives people up to 30,000, but the price is capped at 500. This scheme has been in effect for 5 years, 6 years now, and the price hasn't risen. So the value of the scheme hasn't increased. So if I had to change one thing, I would increase the value of the price that people can use the Help to Buy scheme for.
All right. So what's the biggest myth about the mortgages that's holding people back from owning a home?
Well, but with people from India in particular, they feel they need to have a stamp 4 or be an Irish citizen. That's actually not correct. There are banks out there that will lend to them after 6 months even if they're only on a stamp 1 or a stamp 1G.
Is it?
Yes, that's correct.
That's actually new information.
Yeah,
Most of us thought that it's the stamp 4.
No, that is a myth that I have to address every single conversation I have with people from India. I have to say, first question I do ask them is, how long are they in Ireland and how long are they working? And they might say 3 months, 6 months. And I'd go, we can make it happen, but sometimes some banks may want them to be here a year, but they do not need to be stamp 4.
All right. So tell us about the wildest. So tell us about the wildest thing that a client ever told you during a mortgage application.
I don't think it's fit for recording, to be honest with you, because only yesterday I was told by a client not to tell his wife that he has another house. There you go. But I won't tell anyone's name, so it's the secret safe with me.
It was actually very funny that I didn't expect that answer.
Neither did I. You told me you were going to hit me with quick fire. These are the first things. I could have got worse, by the way. I've heard very strange things have been told to me. So that just happened yesterday. So, yeah.
It's kind of interesting. I think the conversation is getting more interesting now. What's the one thing the mortgage brokers see all the time, but the home buyers doesn't see it or talk about it?
Interesting question. We would what we would see really is the full picture, right? You've always got people saying to you, "Oh, my friend did this." Okay, and that's a common thing, a misunderstanding because someone tells them something. They're getting advice from the wrong people, and bad information is the worst thing you can possibly get because you get ideas of things you can achieve that you can't. So the full picture is what we have, which the client may think they hear a story that they can borrow 4 times or 4.5 times their salary, right? But they don't know the little details that can stop that happening. So we have the full picture.
All right. So have banks become more risk averse, or is it hurting or helping the borrowers?
No, the banks are basically governed by central bank rules. Okay, so that those rules dictate what the banks are allowed to lend. Okay, they then have their own internal rules in terms of who they're prepared to lend to, what they need to see in bank accounts, but they're open for business. People do need, different banks have different views, so people do need to manage their bank accounts properly.
All right. So if someone says that they can guarantee the best rate, should we listen to them or should we run?
Well, I wouldn't say run, but the best rate's a really, really subjective thing. Firstly, if you want more money, you might have to go to the bank that doesn't offer the best rate, right? Mm-hmm. If you want the best long-term rate, one bank might be the best option for you. If you want a short-term fixed rate, they might. So there's no such thing. I often get asked this question, which bank is offering the best rate? And I kind of go, there's no answer. There's no particular answer. It all depends on circumstances. So run away if someone says, I can get you the best rate, because they can't guarantee that.
So what's the most expensive mistake that you see when people make refinancing?
Oh, refinancing, obviously, the mistake they would make is that they don't look to change their term. They don't look to reduce the number of years they're going to pay it back. They might just change the rate for maybe saving 20 or 30 euro a month. But if they reduce their term and were prepared to pay more, they can save 10, 20,000 on the total interest that they pay. So that's a huge thing that people kind of take a short-term view rather than a long-term view. And if they take a long-term view, they can really make substantial savings.
All right. So what motivated you to start JC Mortgages, and what were the hurdles that you faced?
Well, yeah, the motivation was basically I wanted to have it to be mine, right, in terms of under my own name. I had a team of people I was working under someone else's umbrella, and it was all me. So it was more a case of just personal ambition, in truth. Wanted to grow it, wanted to make my own decisions, but needed to have my own entity to allow myself invest in advertising, invest in systems. So it was more just a case of building something for myself. I keep telling someone to build their own home. Well, I kind of wanted to build my own home as a business, you know?
Yeah. So what makes JC Mortgages different from the other brokers in Ireland?
Great question. There's a lot of very good brokers out there, so I wouldn't want to say that we're the best. We're very good at what we do. We believe passionately it's an educational role. We're here to help people understand where they're at. And my business view is simple. If we help people understand where they're at and what they can do, they'll then be happy for us to represent them. I'd never say, we're the best, but I would say, look at our reviews, do your research on us. The people that work with us are really, really happy.
So how do you help your clients emotionally and financially when they are going through the process?
Well, emotionally is a great question because buying a home is incredibly emotional, right? It's one of the biggest decisions you'll make, apart from maybe coming from India to Ireland. But in real terms, and it's a difficult process buying a house because the lack of supply. But we would help in terms of bidding, helping people with strategies on bidding properties. We'll make them understand where they're at. What we can't do, and I would never promise this, if someone tells you that we'll help you buy a house, run away, because that's not possible. Okay, it's literally, you just have to understand where you're at, and then look to see what you can do with it, or wait till your circumstances change to do with what you want. So it's very much a case of being there for people, to support them, being part of their team, right? They're trying to buy a house. They're using your services, not just to get you the money, but to be there to answer all their questions, to ultimately hold their hands till the day they get the keys to their house. And we take that very seriously.
So can you tell me what are the eligibility criteria for an Indian to buy a home in Ireland?
Well, in truth, they would need to be working in Ireland probably for about 6 months, okay? This will certainly make them be able to do it. The next thing that's really important is the bank look at is their income. How much are they earning, okay? So in theory, the banks will lend 4 times, this is just in theory, 4 times their salary, but there could be potential for more. Then the next thing they need to do is make sure that if they're paying rent, that it's going out of their bank account, right? And that there's, on a monthly basis, that they actually can demonstrate that they're saving money as well.
Okay.
I would strongly advise anyone that's sending money back to India, right, and this happens a lot, is stop doing it via their bank accounts. I always tell people, because I think this is wrong, but this is the way the banks view it, I would advise people, take money out of their bank account, give it, if they're trying to get a mortgage, give it to a friend and let the friend send it back to India. Because that, if a bank sees money going from their account back to India, it can actually reduce the amount of money that the banks would lend to them. So that's one massive piece of information I love to get to people. Not because I think that people should be allowed to do what they want, but it's not an argument I'm going to win with the banks. The banks have this view that they almost view that like as a commitment to help family, and if there's a commitment to help family, they will reduce the amount of money that they will lend. So I'm not saying don't help your family, do it in a clever way, basically. You know?
All right. So how about, what will you say if it's a couple who is planning to buy a home in Ireland?
Yeah.
So how is their criteria? Like, so how is it considered from their view?
Well, it's easier to buy a house as a couple because it's a joint income basis. So it's based solely on income. So if there's 2 people working, well, the bank will lend them more money. Okay. So on a joint basis, it's very difficult for a single person to buy a home here in Ireland unless earning a lot of money. Okay. But obviously as a couple, well, you have 2 salaries. So it becomes easier to make it happen.
All right. So you say that more than...
I'm not saying everyone has to have a relationship to buy a house, by the way. But I'm just saying from a mortgage point of view, and I often say to people, by the way, I'm not a relationship advisor. I'm here just to give you advice, right?
Yeah, so it's like it's better to get a home together rather than getting an individual.
I wouldn't say
right?
it's easier is the best way to describe it. Okay.
Yeah, it makes sense. So what's the biggest success story in the history of JC Mortgages?
The biggest success story, we have basically built a division for the Brazilian community here in Ireland. We now have started from scratch. There's a girl who's been working with me for 10 years from Brazil, and she now runs her own team of 6 Brazilians, and they literally are just helping the full the Brazilian community here in Ireland. So obviously I'm trying to do something similar with the Indian community as well.
So what's your plan?
Well, my plan is, you and I are having a conversation. We're going to spread the word. I've literally hired a girl from India who's a qualified financial advisor. I've also hired another girl to support her, just in terms of helping with the paperwork and chasing the bank. So I'm literally going to build a team of people from India based here in Ireland to help, because I always feel it's easier to deal with people from your own background, for your own culture, who understand what you're going through, but who have the inside knowledge, you know. And I think, as I said, we're an educational piece, but the first thing that comes before education is trust, right? So trust is the most important thing in all of this. So if you're dealing with people who understand you, who understand your background, who understand the challenges and the problems that you may be facing just living here in Ireland, let alone trying to buy a house here, that it's an easier way of building trust.
All right. So where do you see JC Mortgages in the next 5 to 10 years when coming to the expansions or in the tech?
Wow, well, tech, that COVID turned me into an IT nerd, okay? As in, what I mean by that is, I had nothing else to do. So I suddenly was building systems around with the business to turn every process into try to make it as most efficient as possible in-house. Obviously, with the evolution of AI and all that being the buzzword, we were ahead of the game. 2 years ago, we introduced into our process where when our clients are uploading paperwork, we have an AI system checking the paperwork in real time, okay? So I'm continually to evolve the technology piece of the business. You're never going to get rid or take away from the human person involved, but you can make the consumer journey easier, better, more efficient, and that's ultimately what I'm trying to do. I get really passionate about what technology can do to actually help the consumer, and that's ultimately our customer. And if we're giving them a good journey, then our business is going to go. So I always say to people, listen, it's in my interest to help you buy a house. Our business only succeeds, but you come first. So we need to make it as easy as possible for everyone. And I'm absolutely investing in a lot of my time and my energy and my passion into, I would never have seen myself as a tech nerd, but I've become a tech nerd. Now, I'm not saying I'm a genius at technology. I bring people in to help, but I have a passion around making the business as efficient as possible.
I wish you good luck. Or
Thank you.
so there are people here in Ireland who is self-employed, say like mostly the Indians or maybe from the other foreign countries as well. So what are the additional challenges that they face when they are buying a house here in Ireland?
Yes, self-employed people definitely come with additional set of challenges, I would say. In most cases, being self-employed creates challenges, but it also creates opportunities, right? And I'll talk about the challenges first. The challenges would be some banks would require someone to be self-employed for at least 2 years, okay? So that's an immediate problem. With some occupations, it might only be 1 year, whether it be IT, locum doctors, those type of professionals, they will look at 1 year. But in the main, it could be, if it was a taxi driver, would definitely be 2 years. So that would be the first challenge, okay? Now, the second thing the banks will then want to see is they look at the average earnings over 2 years. So it's not just 1 year, it's over 2 years. So they will look at, so that then becomes problematic. However, here's the advantage of being self-employed. If you know what you want, if you know how much you need to borrow, you can reverse engineer. Now, what I mean by reverse engineer is saying, okay, we need to borrow 400,000. Well, we need our income to be 100,000, right? To get to where you want to go. So you can be clever, okay? Now, being self-employed, everyone has this view, right? It means there's competing mindsets. Being self-employed is earn as much money as possible, pay as little tax as possible, okay, right? So that means you're declaring a smaller profit, which is the problem when it comes to a mortgage, okay? So if you want to reduce the tax bill, it's going to have an impact on the mortgage. So you need to understand what you're looking to achieve so that you can manage the process properly. And obviously that's something we would have conversations with people about.
So what are the 5 steps to buy a mortgage from the JC Mortgages?
Brilliant question. Step one is what we do is we offer every client, whether they end up doing business with us or not, a roadmap, okay? That roadmap tells them where they are and what they might need to do to get the house that they're looking for, okay? And in that roadmap, it kind of shows 2 things. One, what they can do now versus what they want, if they wanted to do something else, where they need to get to. So then people need to make a decision, will we work with what we can do now or do we wait? And there's no right or wrong answer. So that's the first fundamental part of any mortgage journey is understanding, educating yourself as to where you are. Once you feel you're ready, the next part is the painful part, paperwork, okay? We have our own portal system, which will make it as easy as possible for people to upload their paperwork and keep it as secure as possible, okay? So that will be the second step. And we're building systems to actually make it as technology friendly as possible. But paperwork is paperwork, and it would be wrong of me to say that you wave a magic wand and you've got all your paperwork. It doesn't work like that. But once all the paperwork is in, I then analyze all the paperwork, come back to the client with questions that the banks may ask, okay? Then we'd have a conversation to reconfirm what they're looking to do, okay? And then we go to the bank that the client wants and we get them approved. That's basically stage 3, Okay. Stage 4 is then the bank have said yes. And then the hard part, stage 5, the client then has to go and find a house. Okay. And then ultimately, the very end, they get the keys to their homes. So there's a lot of work that gets involved in from the bank saying yes. Stage 4 is that to go and find a house. That's the hard part. Then they have to sign contracts. They need to get loan offers. And then ultimately they have to satisfy conditions for the bank, such as insurance, such as direct debit mandates. And that will be the 5th step. But before you begin, and I know I'm repeating myself, step 1 is the most important piece. Without step 1, without what we call a mortgage roadmap, without really understanding where you're at, if you try to skip to part 2, part 3, wasting so much time. So educate yourself.
So what's the workload to procure a house in Ireland?
Well, the flow would be, the bank have said yes, right? You then go and find a home. That's the hard part. Whether it's a second hand, you're involved with having to bid on properties against other people. If it's a new property, you're waiting for it to be built. But once you find a home, and we will, if you're kind of looking, we can give advice on how to bid on properties. That's one of the things we would do to help people, right? But if you find a home, the next step is then ultimately getting a contract signed, okay? And that's, so you don't actually, once you put your money down as a booking fee, that you can still change your mind, okay? It's only at the point where you sign a contract will you actually be committed to the purchase. And to sign a contract, you need a solicitor, as we call them, but most people know them as lawyers. And you will need a loan offer, a legal loan offer from the bank. And that means the bank need to be happy with the house that you bought. So once you've basically signed your contract, then you're just waiting for it. Either if it's a new property, you're waiting for the house to be built, or if it's a second-hand property, you're waiting for the seller to agree a closing date.
All right. So if someone has taken a loan before, say like if they have a student loan or
Yeah.
if they have a car loan or anything it can be, so will they be eligible for getting a
Mortgage,
loan for the mortgage?
When you put in an application to the bank look at all factors. They look at your income first and foremost. Then they will look at your age. Then they will look at, do you have any kids? Then they will look at, do you have loans? They factor all those things in, right? If your income was very strong and you had a €300 per month loan, makes absolutely no difference, okay? But if you had €1,000 per month loan, so say you had 3 or 4 loans, that's going to significantly impact the amount of money the bank will lend you. So again, there's a myth out there that the banks will always lend you 4 times your salary. Yes, to a point, but if you've got loan repayments of €1,000, well, the banks are going to say, hold on, they have to pay €1,000 before they can pay us. So they would reduce the amount of money they would lend.
All right. So you said that they'll also consider the fact about the kids.
Yes.
So how is it? So can you explain more about that aspect?
Yeah,
please?
well, obviously, income, if there's kids, money has to go to feed them, educate them. The bank will associate a certain cost to having kids, right? And again, in the main, it's not going to be an issue, right? But families that are basically having to pay childcare, which is expensive, okay? Then suddenly you may have that being an additional cost that might reduce the amount of money the bank will lend to you. Again, if you pay, maybe I shouldn't be saying this out loud, but if you pay childcare with cash, well, the bank won't know about it. But these are things that you kind of have a conversation with your broker to kind of educate you. How do you get your bank accounts? And this is the key thing. How do you get your bank accounts looking the way they need to look to get what you want?
Is it easy for a single parent to get a mortgage in Ireland?
A single parent is more difficult purely because it's not being a single parent, it's only one income, right? It's the income is the key thing. Obviously with a single person, they need to be earning a lot of money to be able to get the mortgage that they're looking for. So it's not just being a single parent that's the issue. It's just there's only one income.
So what if my bank account is messy and also my loan is also messy, my Revolut and everything, if it's kind of messy, what should I do to buy a house if I'm starting from this moment?
And always, as I said, buying a house is a journey and it is about educating yourself and getting yourself ready. Firstly, you asked a question about a messy loan. That mightn't be fixable in the short term. Messy loan means you need to make sure if you've missed payments on loans, that's a serious red flag to the bank, okay? So get that. bank accounts being messy can be fixed. Missing loan repayments has serious consequences. So that's a message that really, really needs to get out there. Okay. With tidying up your bank accounts, well, that's easy to do once you know exactly what you need to do. So if you're, what I would see a lot among the Indian community, there's lots of money being sent to people, to friends and back from friends and to friends. And there's a lot of kind of helping each other, right? But when you're looking for a mortgage, you need to almost look like you live like a pauper. You don't go out, you don't eat, you don't drink or whatever. You just need to, your bank accounts just need to look so clean, right? No transactions where there's money coming in, going out, going in there, coming back in here. It just doesn't look good, okay? So make sure that if you need to do things, do a lot with cash, right? Take money out of your bank account. It's not easy, but you just need to make sure your bank accounts don't create questions that you don't want to ask.
So how long does the banks look through the accounts? So is it like is there a 6-month golden rule?
Well, great question. They do. If you're going to your own bank, well, they have access to your whole banking history. So if you've been misbehaving, shall we say, they can make a judgment and they might say no. But if you're going to a different bank, absolutely, you need 100% clean bank accounts for 6 months. But I'm going to just add to that. Ultimately, I strongly advise everyone having clean bank accounts till the day you get the keys to your house. Because at any point in this process, the bank, for whatever reason, there might be delays in the property. There could be, for some reason, they may just look to see your bank accounts again. So until the day you get the keys, keep your bank accounts as clean as if you were applying the next day, okay? Once you get the keys to your home, you can live your life on your terms and not having to worry about what the bank thinks is coming and going. But till that day, try to keep your bank accounts in good order.
Let's go to the rapid fire.
Okay, I thought they were rapid fire, sorry. Oh my God, I'm scared already. Hit me.
So we are going to the rapid fire. So the first one is the biggest mortgage myth.
Biggest mortgage myth, stamp 4, not necessary.
One thing that instantly hurts approval chances.
No proven ability to repay your mortgage.
First-time buyer or investor, who has it tougher today?
Investor.
Broker or bank? No explanation, just choose.
Broker.
Best age to buy a home in Ireland?
30.
One thing banks care about more than salary.
Ability to repay, clean bank accounts.
Worst habit for mortgage applicants?
Untidy bank accounts.
One fast way to improve your mortgage rate?
Tidy up your bank accounts.
In one line, why JC Mortgages?
Education.
Mortgage approval easier or harder than people think?
Easier.
Renting versus buying, which is riskier right now?
Renting.
Deposit or income, which matters more?
Income.
One document people always forget.
Revolut bank accounts.
All right. Oh. So that's also important for when we are getting a mortgage. All right. So always keep that in mind.
Absolutely.
Self-employed, myth or nightmare?
Nightmare.
Overpay your mortgage or invest? Pick one.
Overpay your mortgage.
Biggest red flag banks look for?
Gambling.
Is now a good time to buy? Yes or no?
Yes, if you take a long-term view.
One thing that screams this client is prepared. So it's one thing that screams this client is prepared.
Getting all their bank accounts over to us quickly.
Wow.
So,
Mortgage term, which one would you choose, the short term or the long term?
if possible, short-term.
I would also like to ask another question. So if a person in India, if they have a home in India, and would it be considered in Ireland when they are buying a home
Potentially,
here?
yes. Run a report called the Experian Credit Report.
Mm-hmm.
This is what the bank may look for here, and if they see something on that, it will be taken into account. But that's worthy of a conversation in its own right.
All right. So also, I would also like to ask another question. So if an Indian or any foreigner, if they are bringing, say, like a $30,000 or 30,000 euros, which is converted to Ireland, and can they buy a home here?
Yes, absolutely. If it's depending where it's coming from, yes, it could be a gift, no problem. If it's their savings back home, no problem. No issue there at all.
Okay, so if they have if they can bring their money here and they can do that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what's the one question that every person must ask, but no one never does?
You may laugh at this, but they never ask, should I buy a home? They view it as they have to, but not always the case. I'm talking myself out of business here, by the way. That's what I do. But that's the level of education we will bring to anyone that asks these questions. We will answer them.
All right. Yeah, that's actually funny.
It's true that they don't ever. It's like they have to buy a home, and I sometimes have to tell people, saying, "Listen, it mightn't be. Buying a home isn't the most important thing in life. Your personal. This is going to sound a bit cliched, but your personal happiness is. It's a nice goal to have and an achievement, and feel very. Especially like I have nothing but admiration for people who come to this country and end up buying their own home here, because it's like I don't think I'd have the ability to have gone to another country and kind of create an identity for myself, create a position where I'd be able to go and actually own my own home. So the level of respect that I have for anyone that can come to this country, the small, miserable, wet, cold country, and do it, it's just incredible.
So work permit or stamp for, does it really matter?
It does matter, but not as much as people think.
Indian salary history accepted or questioned?
Not accepted. Indian salary.
Yeah, salary history. Say like they were working in India before? coming to
Irrelevant.
Ireland,
It's
irrelevant.
income in Ireland.
Okay. Family support from India allowed for deposit?
Absolutely no problem.
Sending money from India, red flag or normal?
Will be questioned.
If sending money to India, will that be a red flag or normal?
Red flag.
Self-employed Indians, tougher approval?
Absolutely.
Single applicant or joint application? Better
Joint
odds.
application every day.
Buying within 3 years of arriving, realistic or risky?
Absolutely realistic.
Apartments or houses? What do Indian buyers choose more?
Houses.
Best counties for Indian families to buy homes?
Anywhere in Ireland.
Biggest mistake Indian buyers make in Ireland?
Sending money home.
Now we are going to an extra rapid fire. Renting forever or buying ASAP? What do Indians prefer?
Buying as soon as possible.
Is buying a home a sign of settling down in Ireland?
Absolutely.
Do Indian buyers overstress about credit scores?
No.
Is 50K savings enough to start a mortgage journey?
Absolutely, but it's income based.
One document Indians must prepare early.
Their credit report from home.
Stamp 1G, deal breaker or workable?
Absolutely workable.
Does changing jobs delay buying plans?
Once probation will be finished, no problem.
Are Indian IT professionals strong mortgage candidates?
Absolutely.
Buying near schools, priority or later thought?
Priority.
One line advice for Indians planning to buy in Ireland.
Educate yourself before you start looking.
So it was informative and insightful informations about the mortgages, and I found it very helpful, and I appreciate the time.
I know, the pleasure was all mine. I
And the
hope I didn't
guidance.
scare you away from buying a house here in Ireland.
And also the guidance that you provided. So yeah, we'll be also providing the information, the contact details of JC Mortgages in our video. So there will be the link for contacting
Yeah.
John and the JC Mortgages.
Yeah, what we offer everyone is basically a free mortgage roadmap, showing them where they are and what they might need to do to get the house they're looking for. So there's no obligation to do business, but get themselves educated from the start is what I want people to educate, get themselves to get that message, know where you are, know what you need to do.
So thank you so much.
No, thank you, Elena. Lovely to meet you.